Firstly, I wanted to thank everybody for their interest. So I'm Dick Anderson. I'm a director in the HP Point Next business here in the UK, and I've got a remit that extends across edge, data center, and public cloud. So I joined HP just over 2 years ago when HP acquired a born in the cloud business called Red Pixie. That business was almost exclusively focused on building kind of high quality Microsoft Azure solutions, both from we did the consulting as well as the engineering piece, and I was the managing director in that business. Today I run a team of about 150 edge to cloud specialists, and I enjoy access at HP to thousands of HP Point Next consultants and engineers. So our collective focus is on building location-independent enterprise cloud platforms on behalf of our clients, and we also, for some clients, run those platforms on their behalf. So I think that there's a general acceptance across our industry that the world is hybrid. The hyperscalers, like Microsoft, have really led the way and been able to demonstrate how businesses would consume ready-made services and pay for those services as they go. HP's global strategy is entirely aligned to what we see in the market. We are building solutions that allow us to provide everything we do as a service, encompassing our own platforms, what it is we do in the public cloud venue, as well as the service wrappers that go over the top of those services. So when I think about the industry landscape that we're all playing in today, there's a proliferation, and has been for some 10 years or so now, of SaaS services. You can almost consume a SaaS service for just about any scenario that you kind of care to consider. There's been a proliferation of PaaS services, predominantly across the hyperscalers, like Microsoft Azure. However, the vast majority of workloads, applications, and business services today still run on premise. Business leaders, they want to use the best of everything that's available to them, but they must do so, whilst remaining, secure and compliant, and being compliant with any regulatory bodies that may govern their industry or their sector. They want to remain operationally robust. They want to remain operationally robust and stable and resilient. They want to get control of costs and have clear visibility of the cost profile across the SaaS services that they're consuming, as well as public cloud PaaS services, and what's going on within their own data center. And importantly, businesses want to remain agile and be able to support business imperatives and business change dictated by the board level folks. So the operational landscape that we all live in now, it has a degree of complexity that didn't exist in the past, both for business leaders and also technology leaders. I see our job at HP as being one that helps those customers not only navigate that more complex environment, but we're there to help deliver solutions that provide the outcomes that businesses are looking for. We've got an approach that stretches across edge to cloud. Often our engagements with enterprise customers start with some level of strategic advisory capability that's making an assessment of what it is the business is looking to achieve, what's the business priorities, what are the business imperatives, what the current state looks like in terms of the technology landscape. Typically, we would find most of the services deployed in a corporate data center, or a collection of corporate data centers. Where what does that current state landscape look like? What business and technical requirements need to be considered as we start to think about how that landscape may change, but also get some clarity around future state definition. Get real clarity on the end state hybrid architecture that the businesses have conceived, have started planning around. Once we've understood that, we do part of our job is to map business imperatives and business outcomes directly to the technology landscape, and demonstrating how that the technology footprint will start to deliver on some of the business goals that have been set out by the leadership teams. And then we get into this planning cycle where we help kind of plan what that target end state architecture looks like, help with the low-level designs, make sure that those designs are bedded in, they're accepted, that they're signed off against, and then we'll proceed to building that kind of end state architecture that's hybrid in nature. That logically speaking, that is about us taking customers' existing data centers and office footprint and extending those securely into a public cloud venue, and making sure that all the stuff that you would expect, that the network considerations have been taken into account, that the networks are resilient, robust, that the security architecture that wraps around both the private data center but as well as the public cloud services, that security architecture has been addressed, and that the CISO teams and the InfoSec teams that are within customers' organizations have been taking on that journey, and they're happy with the security architecture that's been laid out to stretch across both public and private cloud. But importantly, once we've got to that hybrid end state, we need to be able to operate the array of services that will exist across both. That's arguably 60-70% of the challenge, is making sure that we're able to kind of operate those services for the long haul. That's addressing things like cost allocation, making sure that the target cloud environment is laid out in the right way. If we're deploying services at the edge, we understand how those services, the life cycle of those services, are managed. How are they provisioned in an automated way? How do we maintain them, and then how do they get deprovisioned? And that's contextual, so that may change from sector to sector. Importantly, alongside those activities, establishing strong cloud governance is an important part of what we do. So we're making sure that we are aware of any business risks when we start to think about that hybrid landscape, that we're taking those risks into consideration in the designs. And by designs, I mean the technology designs, but also the operational process designs that need to be in place to govern across that hybrid world. But if there are risks that are present, we've got to either negate or mitigate those, but find a way to make sure that the new risk landscape is well understood and that the controls are in place to deal with those. We'll make adjustments to policy as part of that cloud governance. So if we need some tweaks to existing long-standing policy and compliance procedures, that they'll be addressed. Probably the largest part of change that we'll look to make is dealing with changes to operational process. When you think about the business of managing the life cycle of any service, whether it's in the data center, at the edge, or in public cloud, there's a set of provisioning or deployment routines. There's a set of maintenance activities, then deprovision at the end of that when the service has got to its end of life. Well, all those processes need to be adjusted in some way. We've got to make sure that we've got cost management and cost controls in place, both for a data center and cloud. So wherever the services happen to be deployed, I think businesses are becoming, as we move to this kind of consumption pay-as-you-go model, businesses expect to have a much more granular level of insight into how IT spend plays out within their businesses. So knowing how being able to tag costs, whether it's in the data center or in cloud, in an accurate way, and give visibility of the cost profile to the business leaders is an important part of delivering on a hybrid architecture. Thinking about the resources and the stakeholders across both business and technology teams that are impacted by that change away from a traditional operating model to one that's hybrid in nature, that's a key consideration for us, and making sure that those folks are ready for that journey, that they're trained, that they've got the requisite certifications that they need. We work hand in hand with our enterprise customers to support them along that journey. Some customers are keen to have us look after the management of some aspects of that hybrid end state while they get their own teams up to speed with an intent of taking it back into their own control at some point. Whereas other customers would rather just consume the services and have an organisation like HP take care of the day-to-day management of that, that hybrid architecture. So we'll help with all of that. That when we think about that hybrid challenge, there's a set of clear propositions that sit within our portfolio that really help bed in solutions for customers. So I've already mentioned the strategic advisory piece. There's a platform layer challenge around making sure that that hybrid architecture, all the components that need to be in place are addressed. But then there's a set of discrete services that I think are very relevant to the market that we're all operating in. So once we've built out the hybrid architectures, customers are now starting to think about, well, what does the workload transition or the service transition challenge look like for me? What services should be moved to public cloud versus those services that should remain within the data center and potentially move on to a private cloud platform that boasts a lot of the characteristics that you see in public cloud, certainly from a consumption and automation standpoint. So thinking through that workload transition program of work is a key part of what we deliver as a service. And that really boils down to us thinking about the variety of treatment scenarios that exist for each one of those services. So if it's moving to public cloud, there's a specific set of treatment scenarios that need to be addressed. If we're moving to consolidated private data center, private cloud facility within the data center, we need to understand what that kind of migration and treatment scenario looks like. There undoubtedly will be some applications and services that demand some special handling, potentially much more complex workloads, or there's an appetite within the business to move away from some of those kind of traditional multi-tier application stacks towards this kind of decoupled microservices type architecture. We do a lot of work in the container space, and we've got a team that are dedicated to building enterprise grade containers and also integrating that into customers' kind of agile methods or CI/CD pipelines. We've got a team that are looking at the data platform challenge that exists in this hybrid landscape and how we start to bring kind of rich analytics and AI and machine learning and all the good stuff that you get from having a well architected data platform. What I see in most customers, just because of the evolution that customers have gone through, is we see these islands of data that are all interesting and rich in their own right, but become much more interesting when you have a data strategy and a data platform that allows you to see that entire data set from edge through to cloud. So we've got a team that's dedicated in building business insights that come from those islands of data. So there's an advisory professional services capability that deals with that within my organization. When we look at hybrid modern workplace, one thing that the hybrid landscape does change is it forces businesses to think about their end users and also their own customers and how those customers are interacting with the services that they provide. COVID-19, I think, has taught us all that businesses that have all been challenged in terms of their business continuity posture, and they're having to adjust their business models to work in the environment that we now find ourselves in. And I've got a team that are dedicated to ensuring that whatever customers, either staff are or their own customers are, that there are edge solutions that can really help. Whether that's kind of rich wireless access provided through our Aruba solutions and the services associated with that, through to kind of modern workspace and collaboration tools, never more relevant than the scenario we all find ourselves in today. Whether that's building kind of high quality enterprise desktop services that can be deployed in a consistent automated way into either corporate data centers or into public cloud, or you may want to stretch between both and have this bus capability. So we've got a team dedicated to building those kind of modern workplace collaboration and desktop services, aided by some of the great IP we have in and around the Aruba wireless access space. There's another team that are dedicated within my business to just building out those kind of hybrid platforms I've already talked about. But importantly, that edge to cloud connectivity piece that needs to underpin everything we do. And also we provide managed services. So we've always made the commitment to our customers that if we've had a hand in building, implementing, transitioning to this hybrid architecture, whether it's pure public cloud or whether it's private cloud or a combination of both, we've always made the promise that we'd be happy to look after those services on the customer's behalf, and that carries on. And we were delivering on that promise to a whole number of customers, and that really helps for those customers that are they've all got day jobs, they're getting to grips with kind of new capabilities that is surfaced through this hybrid cloud end state. So having a partner that's willing to deal with some of that management on their behalf is an important piece for us. And there are some customers that are more than happy for us to just look after that day to day. So, so in summary, just to wrap up some of the things that I've said, I think there's a general acceptance widely across the industry that the world is now hybrid. Businesses want to consume ready-made technology services and pay for them as they go. I think that's true whether you're looking at edge solutions, data center, or cloud solutions. Customers don't expect to compromise on the quality of service excellence because of where those services are deployed, and it's part of our job to make sure that compromise isn't being made. HPE's global strategy is aligned to the direction of the great industry that we all work in. HPE's services team are here to help our customers extract the most value from the rich array of choices that exist, and that help drive businesses forward. We do that by providing enterprise grade, elegant solutions across a variety of deployment venues, and we like to think about high quality services being independent of location, independent of deployment venue. But ultimately, we're an engineering team, we're a consultancy and engineering team, the team that I run, and we're there to help customers integrate across the hybrid cloud landscape and then help them transition services, workloads, applications onto that hybrid environment and close down some legacy systems in the process. And I think that's it from me. Thanks everybody for staying interested, being here with us. Thank you.